Dandadan's new opening is a lot darker than I was expecting. A lot of the visuals are gray, but more importantly, this shows a much more serious side to Okarun and Momo's relationship. Based on the heavy visuals and intense lyrics, this opening is a lot different than the vibrant opening we got in Season 1. But that's the point. The reason this OP is so intense is because everything about it is meant to illustrate the strong desire Okarun has to protect Momo. And considering that's a big theme in this new arc, it helps highlight what would otherwise be overshadowed by evil monsters and giant worms. Which is exactly why I'm going to analyze Dandadan's new opening and discuss how it portrays Okarun's charming affection for Momo and defines his entire character. To do that, let's just start from the beginning. So the opening starts with a shot of Okarun. Specifically, he's walking in a tunnel with a flashlight and he's got his old haircut, telling us that this is back when he went to find Turbo Granny. It should also be mentioned that the entire shot is in black and white. Keep this in mind because the use of color is just as deliberate in this opening as it was in the last one. The next shot is an inverse of the last one. Now that we know we're watching Okarun, the next shot shows us the same scene from his perspective. And again, everything he's seeing in this moment is in black and white. But then in the next shot, we cut to him looking at Momo. Everything outside of his glasses is gray, but as he's looking at Momo, his glasses are full of color. Obviously, this contrast heavily implies that Okarun's world and everything he perceives is gray. It's dull. It's meaningless. But when he's with Momo, everything about her is colorful. She's vibrant. She's full of life. She gives his life meaning. And this message is repeated as we cut back and forth between the scene in the tunnel and different shots of Momo. Now, for those of us who don't speak Japanese, the visuals only point to this message, but the lyrics pretty much spell it out for us. In the first part of the song, the singer literally says, "In a world soaked in darkness, I finally found it. This sentimental kind of love." Granted, these aren't official lyrics, so I could be wrong, but given the visuals, this seems pretty spot on. Everything building up to the title drop tells us that Okarun lives in a world of darkness, a world without life or meaning. But when he met Momo, suddenly his life was full of color and meaning. So by combining the lyrics with this deliberate use of color, fans are shown that Okarun doesn't just like Momo. His passion for her is so strong that she is the only meaning in it, and everything is meaningless without her. This shows that their relationship is both romantic and intense. And all of this happens in the first 20 seconds. Naturally, it comes to define the entire tone of the whole opening, in addition to some seemingly random scenes. But they're not as random as you may think. In fact, the opening takes on a slightly new message as it continues. But real quick, before I say anything else, make sure to check out one of my next live streams. I review new manga chapters every Sunday and Thursday, and I even review new Dandadan chapters every Monday. But anyway, let's move on to the next part of the opening. So after the title drop, we watch Okarun leave the tunnel and run out into the world looking for Momo. A not so subtle hint that he was basically stuck in a cave, but now he wants to step out of his comfort zone. This is further supported as we cut to the next shot. Here, there's these panels of Okarun running. It all starts out black and white, but is slowly being colored in. The implication here is that as Okarun is leaving the tunnel or his old self, he's slowly finding new meaning, a new purpose. Now, of course, there's a couple of other things going on during this run. We get a bunch of shortcuts to the different characters of the main crew. Each time they're doing a pose that's mostly in character. Momo makes this weirdly animated pose. Okarun hides himself. Ira's doing her makeup. Gigi makes a funny face. Kinta, our brand new member of the team, does an over-the-top anime pose. Something he's always doing in the story because he loves anime and loves to make himself the main character of his own story. There's a few other cuts like this that are more of the same. It's also worth noting that all of these short cuts are very saturated. So because of the saturated color and the silly poses, these cuts serve as a nice tie-in to the first opening, creating a consistent theme for the show's style. Full of color and very very animated. Now, as far as the lyrics go, there is something important to mention. It's worth noting that they say Dandadan over and over like the first opening, but that's not super important. What should be noted is that during this run, the singer says stuff like, "You're driving me mad. I want to find the courage to hold your hand, and I can't bring myself to do it." All of this reflects the strong yet awkward connection Okarun and Momo had before. They could talk all day, but they often struggled to figure out all the ways to express themselves, like whether or not to say hi, or how to meet each other between classes. And since this opening is from the perspective of Okarun, it tells us that as much as he likes Momo, his insecurity is getting in the way. This is illustrated when Okarun stops running. Before, he was ready to find Momo, but his insecurity kicks in, he stops, and now he doesn't know what to do. This reflects the buildup we saw in Season 1. Momo and Okarun were doing well. Then Gigi stepped in, and even after the two of them became friends, Okarun started feeling insecure about his relationship with Momo. From here, we move on to the next part of the opening. We cut to Momo and Ira doing some weird poses as the singer says, "No, no." These poses might be a reference to something, but I'm not sure. Comment down below if you can find any pop culture or movie references. In the next cut, the singer says, "Wait, wait," as we meet the strange exorcist band that will play a part in the story later on. From here on is where the opening transforms. So up until now, Okarun is crazy about Momo, but he doesn't know what to do. His world goes from gray to colorful, but then stops and goes back to gray. Then we cut to Momo as the singer says Okarun is going to let loose and embrace her curses and wounds. So now Okarun is regaining his confidence and saying he wants to be open with Momo. It's at this point that he starts running again, but this time Momo actually reaches out and grabs him, which is a big theme in their relationship. First of all, it's worth noting that they stay consistent with the color schemes of the show and the first opening. Momo's energy is always teal like we see now, and because of Turbo Granny, Okarun is always red. But at this point, the relationship takes on a new meaning. Up until now, Okarun has been chasing Momo by himself, but at this point, once he's decided to be brave and close the gap, Momo is able to take that last step and reach out to him. It's interesting because the entire opening is from Okarun's perspective, and he's doing the running and talking about how he wants to protect her. But in this moment, she grabs him and they hold each other. It shows that as strongly as they feel for each other, their relationship is a team effort. It only works because they're working together. This is reinforced when the two of them are falling together and when they enter the tunnel. Although Okarun is the one carrying Momo, we can see blue and red streaks, both of their colors. In other words, it's a team effort. Then we cut to Okarun running as fast as he can, literally breaking down as he carries Momo before the opening ends. So just to recap, this all started with Okarun by himself in the tunnel. He's alone, and as we watch the world from behind his glasses, everything is soaked in darkness. Then he meets Momo and she brings color and meaning to his world. Once this happens, Okarun gets the urge to step out of his comfort zone. As he does this, we shift from his point of view to watching him through panels as he chases after Momo. While he runs out of the tunnel, his world becomes more colorful, but then his insecurity kicks in, he stops running, and everything is dark again. Then he stops himself from falling down the rabbit hole and starts running after Momo. Then, once he finally closes the gap, Momo is the one who grabs his hand, the two hold each other, and Okarun transforms as he carries Momo. And as this happens, we have a third-person perspective of both of them. Overall, this opening isn't quite as stylized or as flashy as the first one, but it's a lot more direct in its message. Like the first opening, it uses color, perspective, and contrasting characters to express ideas, but the second opening has one very clear message. message. The whole opening is about Okarun, his feelings for Momo, and the nature of their relationship. It's really a summary of everything that's happened from Okarun's perspective. We start with lonely Okarun, and we end with Okarun deciding to fight to protect Momo, becoming a monster and literally falling apart to do so. But even when he's chasing after her and carrying her, the two of them are working together. Not only does it show how strong of a bond these two characters have, but it also highlights how both of these characters lead the story. While the opening starts with Okarun, it ends with both of them. This tells us that both characters are equally important. So, by watching this opening, we get two takeaways. First, Momo is everything to Okarun. She gives his life meaning, and without her, his life is empty. Because of that, he's willing to do anything to protect her, which is exactly the character arc he experiences in Season 2. The second point is that as much as Okarun is trying to protect Momo, she is meeting him halfway. Even when one of them is saving the other, they are always working together. It shows us that the feelings are mutual, and they balance each other out perfectly. So overall, I think this opening does a perfect job of illustrating the theme of the Evil Eye arc and Dandadan as a whole. You can even find a tweet from the singer showing the message they wanted to express, and it certainly worked. In terms of which one is better, I can't say I have a preference between this and the first opening. The Season 1 opening is flashier, it's got more references, and it generally has better character expression. The second opening isn't as flashy, but it's more coherent and clear in its message. I'm curious to see what the reaction is from fans, but if you ask me, this opening does a perfect job of illustrating what it is that Dandadan is all about and why everyone loves the romance between Okarun and Momo. But what do you think? Is there anything I missed? How would you rate this opening? Share your thoughts and see what everyone else has to say down in the comments. I'll pick my favorite and share it as comment of the week on my community tab. And make sure to become a channel member. You get badges and emojis to use in our live streams, you can pick which series I cover next, and you can even get credited in future videos. Also check out my analysis of the first opening, which you can find in the playlist linked right here. Until then, thank you for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.